Hey, welcome. So excited to have you here, Rosie, and everyone watching, checking in here. This is Rosie. We met about 6, 7 months ago. Busy business professional, a business owner, and we found out she has an extraordinary amount of food related situations with friends, with business, with everything. And so we're going to dive into talking through what has happened, how much, what was the total weight you've lost to date so far?
So far, almost 36 pounds.
36 pounds. So we're almost at 40 and just completely changing her life. So, Rosie, welcome so much. Thank you for coming and talking to everyone about your story. So, we're going to talk a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sounds good. Who am I? I'm Rosie, and I co-own a business here in Boston, and life is just busy, like everyone's, I guess, in that way. And so, yeah, part of me, almost at this point, what it's been like almost 8 months, 7 months ago, was just kind of fed up with my excuses in a lot of ways of really knowing that I really wanted to like take control, learn about food, learn about what I needed for my body, feel better in
Right.
my skin. I could talk more about that stuff, but basically just realizing like I needed help. So that's how I ended
Right,
up calling
right.
you.
Excellent. And I appreciate that. We've known each other many, many years ago, and you're like, hey, he's still doing this thing, and he must know something if this is what he does still. So, what was the impetus? Let's go back to the like maybe within a week of you reaching out. Where were you at? Paint the picture, tell us what happened and all that.
Yeah. For me, about a week before I called you, I guess just kind of, it had been a couple of years actually. Had been really feeling this like push, this draw to take a little bit more almost like control of my body. Just realizing like, oh, I don't really like myself. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel, especially.
Mhm.
I used to be like really active. I used to be comfortable. I used to have a lot of fun. I used to just say yes to the fun things
So,
that people
yes,
were doing.
right.
Pretty athletic person like my whole life until maybe like 10 years ago, just not feeling confident enough to jump
Mhm.
in on the activities like the hiking or going and doing something that would require a little more exertion of the body and not
Right.
liking how I look my clothes. And so finally, I, yeah, I was in this group actually of women and we were talking about ways that we make decisions and things that we're finding really hard in life. And I realized, oh, like some of it just keeps coming back to how I feel about myself, like my physical self.
Mm.
And so I knew I needed to do something. Checked out your website, and I realized like, oh, he focuses on entrepreneurs, and I have been co-owning a business with some friends, and just realized, okay, like this guy, I know him from call like for a long time,
Yep.
but also he's been doing this for a lot of years, specifically with people like me. And so that's what I need. I need someone who will help me, like meet me where I'm at, which was very much
Right.
felt like it. So yeah.
So the day, your day, you're
Mm-hmm.
up at like crazy early in the morning, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
working all day, and then you have another gig that you do too. Tell us some of the responsibilities that you have, and also talk about some of the food situations to those responsibilities.
Yeah. So I co-own a cafe and a coffee roastery. So naturally, an environment with a lot of food
Right.
options available.
Tasty food at that, right?
Tasty. Yeah, it's really good. We have a good business.
Right.
So that is like, half, quote unquote, half of my work week. But anyone who owns the business knows it's not just 20 hours a week. It's a lot more than that. So
Right.
my
It's
time with
all
that
in all the
all
time.
the time. And for, our business is really early. So, my day really does start sometimes at 5 a.m. And so I could go from 5 to noon and having lived a whole day almost while some people are just starting their day.
Right.
So that's like half of my responsibilities work wise. And then another half is working with people in a different sphere. And so those two, work, not strains, but responsibilities really do lend itself to a lot of events as well. My other job
Right.
involves a lot of events, which also food is a part of those, or gatherings, celebrations. A lot of retreats are a big part of my work life too. So
Right.
just constantly, yeah, trying to navigate, okay, how can I plan my meals? How can I even think through physically how much
Right.
I'm moving a day? Like all these unique things to kind of really that does build off of first my work life.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Now, um, with the food, we found out that it was a lot of food engagements, right? And
Mhm.
even in the summer here, as we are now, we're finding new opportunities for food situations to pop up. And so, what were some of the big challenges that we started to see even in the first like week of working together?
Yeah. One thing that sticks out to me is, I mean, sometimes it would be okay. In one week, I could have two work events that require that or offer food, right? So it's like, okay, we're doing
Hmm.
this over dinner, or
Right,
hey, we have this 3 day conference, and
right,
because you're a planner of the event, we provide all the meals. So these things where we're like, oh, okay, that would take away one thing I have to think about. If I already know the food's there, I don't have to think about it. But then as we were planning, I'm realizing, oh, okay, usually this isn't going to hit my goals the way I want to. This isn't going to feed my body, like give it the energy it needs for, what the goals I have, right? Which are,
right,
yeah, to eat healthier,
right,
to understand what I need, and even socially. So I am
right.
single, which I realize now does lend itself to a lot of social things or over food. Because I don't have to
Hmm.
be at home at 5 o'clock feeding my kids, which I think as a
Right,
parent, you have other challenges with food related
right,
to that.
right.
But for me, it really was like, oh, a ton of social invitations are around
Right.
the meal.
Everybody's situation is different. And
Yeah,
that's what we found with yours. Like you're a social person, people love to be around you. And what do we do? Humans, food is love, it's excitement, it's happiness. And so we're always going to get invited, especially in the afternoon, evening time. We're going to start seeing these things up. So
yeah,
we'll talk
yeah,
a little bit more about some of the strategies and stuff. But like, what were the results? Like we said briefly, you're like, 36 pounds down, but like throughout our time
yeah.
together, what were some of the results from the obviously like number base or clothing, but other things that we shifted to some goals being like performance or like, we want to get a certain distant hike in and stuff. So
Yeah.
share away.
Yeah. So one reason I remember even calling you and just being like, hey, I think what I've really enjoyed about you is our first phone call. I said a few key things of like, hey, clearly I'm overweight. Like I know that, but that's not my goal right now. My goal is actually to understand food and like, what do I
Right,
need? I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have a steep learning curve. I've tried all these
right.
other programs. I don't want to restrain myself because I like a variety of things. I am not
Hmm.
a like eat the same meal 7 days a week. It's not my thing.
No.
And so that to me is a win, is like, okay, I still get to enjoy the things I'm eating. And I honestly don't have to say no to anything. Like I have to
Right,
plan it. I can't eat all of it, or I can't make
right,
that be a whole thing, but that's been a win for me, the learning of that. um, and then even, yeah, the physical wins, more energy, that was massive. I noticed that honestly within the first week, just because I get up
yeah,
early and I stay up
right.
late. Like I'm very much a, yeah, I
Night
stay up
owl and
night
and
out.
being again social, it's easy for the evening hours
Yeah,
to disappear and you're like, oh shoot.
yeah,
And working in a coffee, caffeine is obviously just a reach an arm's distance away, literally,
yeah,
for you
yeah.
to overdo.
That's been huge.
So
Like the energy I feel, the
mhm,
physical goal. Like one thing when I called you first was, hey, I really want to be more active. I miss doing that stuff.
mhm.
I miss hiking. I miss like
Right.
running.
Saying
I miss
yes, I
volleyball.
think even more importantly was just saying yes to the
Yeah.
invitations that people would offer to do something with you, right?
Yep.
Which is
Totally.
is
Yeah.
good because
Yeah.
if my grandma taught me this one, if you say no to people too many times, they stop asking. And
Yeah.
especially in that type of situation, we want you to be out there and engaged and not feel like held back by just your physical ability or any of that stuff. And
Hmm.
now we are at a place like you're doing 5Ks, you're getting out on hikes, you're paddleboarding, you're
Yeah.
biking, you're doing whatever someone throws at you, you're like, yep, sign me up. I'll be there. Where and when? Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So
All that. So
that's
good.
awesome. That is so awesome. Now,
Mhm.
what have you tried in the past that didn't unfortunately quite work? Were there some things that like kind of held you up?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I tried everything. Everything. I mean, I just turned 40. A big thing too for me. I that I felt like sharing was I decided to start middle of December, which
Right.
I feel like most people would look at that and be like, wow, that's interesting. Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming. Why would you do that? But so just a piece of advice, just hey, if you're feeling it, just say yes and start whenever. Because there's always
Right.
going to be a challenge.
There's
And I
always
feel like
something
a,
around
a
the
major
corner.
a major win was doing it at that point. But I forgot your question because I was talking.
Yeah, what other, yeah, no, that's great. And honestly, a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, well, I got this vacation or I
Yeah,
got this holiday, there's this stuff, I'm going on a work travel. You traveled multiple times leaving the state,
yeah,
and that's just a part of reality for the lot of people that I work with. So that's literally no reason to like wait, because you're never not going to be busy. That's just
yeah,
who every single person I've ever worked with is busy. They're busy. And
yeah,
that's just literally not it. We need to find
yeah,
solutions that work in your real life. So what
yeah.
were some of the things that may have appeared to work initially, but
Oh yeah.
didn't actually provide that long-term solution for you?
Yeah. So for me, I guess throughout my life at various points, trying like the fad diet per se, like,
Yeah.
okay, growing up, like the Atkins diet, or okay, you only don't eat after this certain time, or why don't you do no sugar, or you sign up for the gym. Sometimes I just don't go. I just pay for it. So there's waste money. All I've tried kind of all those things. So I guess I've tried other programs like Weight Watchers, for example, or like something that would help give me
Right.
potentially a community to try to do stuff with. So I've tried a lot of things, to be honest.
Right.
And yeah, but I feel like what's been really great about this, and I think I knew it going in, right? Because I've tried a lot of things and they didn't stick, right?
Right.
Great, all those things can work for a short period of time for me, but realizing, okay, that's not it. Like there's something else that I have to gain, and it really, to me, it did come down to learning about food, right? Like the thing
Right.
is, food is not going away. It's important for me, and I want to understand it because I
Right.
want to know what I need to have energy in the day, in an appropriate way. And so
Right.
that's what's been, to me, it has felt like I want to do this and I want to do it for my life. I don't want to just do it for the month to get down to a different size or a different
Right.
scale weight. That wasn't going to motivate me this time, because it
Right.
only stuck so long all the other times. So
Right. And here's the reason why, like even throughout our time over the last 6 months, we've seen a series of progression and then
yeah.
pauses, right? And then we figure out what or why or how, and then we troubleshoot and provide more solutions, and then we see more consistent progress happening. And so every time is like each layer of the onion, we started to uncover other things that were still potential like thorns in your side in the sudden. So the one that comes in my mind is like we'd been working through like the food at the coffee shop, the stuff at the food related events, such other position, getting invited out to meals with friends, whether it's a singular friend or a group of people. And so we worked through a lot of those to lose like
Yeah.
20 plus pounds. But then you went to Texas and the jelly beans came out of nowhere and they totally just strung you up, right? So,
Hmm.
and then you came back and we troubleshooted, problem solved, talked about what was going on. And it's just something else that we had not addressed because, you're not around like copious amounts of like candy all the
Hmm.
time. So, and then we
Yeah.
were able to figure that out. And so what were like, maybe one or two of the top things that you've taken away from our work together so far to provide, like we're going to round 40 pounds here in the next,
Hmm.
2, 3-ish weeks or so
Hmm.
with consistent progress. So what were two like big things that had a
Yeah.
big impact on you?
That's, yeah. I think even thinking back to our first call, really, where we talked about like how many meals do you eat in a day and when do you eat them? Just that concept of, okay, like does it, if I eat 10 meals or four or two, cool. Like it's the same amount of calories.
Right.
And spanning them out, figuring them out. So what's been really eye-opening is being mindful of my movement and like when
Yeah.
it happens in my day. So, there'll be times I get to, I've shared this with you, like it's 11 a.m. and I've already done 7,000 steps, or
Right.
it's 10 a.m. and I've already done that. And so I'm like, no wonder I'm hungry. I've literally done like 4 miles of moving or something.
Yeah.
So that's
And
been
I
really,
haven't eaten yet. Like,
I
go
haven't even,
figure here,
no wonder
huh?
I grab the first thing I see because I'm so hungry. So that's been super helpful for me to just
Right.
figure out, and not all my days look the same, as I'm sure not everyone
Right.
that you work with, right? So my
Right.
Monday is way different than my Tuesday, where Tuesday I sit in meetings all day long. So I'm not as hungry. It's been really helpful to plan out my meals based on really when I'm exerting energy,
Right.
and and so that it doesn't shock me anymore that I would like to eat at this time of day.
Any
Um,
typical human being in any
yeah,
of the similar situations would be hungry. And if
yeah,
you don't have food, you're going to act like any other person and eat whatever's available. And in a cafe situation, there's a
mhm,
tasty croissant,
yep,
high calorie frappuccino latte thing that would sway you.
yeah,
And because you're hungry at that point, and you're just ready to get something in you to
yeah,
keep moving. And so we
yeah,
found that to be the
yeah.
situation.
That's so
Rosie,
cool.
where are you heading? Like, certainly we got like the business development and all this stuff, but like
Mhm,
even like you're a person of travel, of new, of getting out and about. And like pre-COVID, the only reason you're in the States was you got home from Cambodia, and then like COVID hit and you couldn't leave because the everything was shut down and stuff. But like
yeah,
in the next like 5, 10 years, how do you see these
mhm,
skills that we've been working on transferring over to like you even like moving on to another, area of the world, and how it could apply?
mhm.
Because that's a
Yeah, that's
real thing for you. Like it could
yeah,
happen.
yeah, that's a great question. Um, I mean, I even think now when I think, because I did live in Cambodia for a few years, and so I think about what even back then, like, oh wow, like I think about the ingredients we put in our food there, or the quick go-to meals. I think about that here too. Like our quick go-to meals in America are often not, they're not going to give you the best bang for your buck,
Right.
literally for your body. And so I do think about that a lot of
Right.
wow, okay, what I'm learning or what I've learned already slash what I'm going to continue to learn is information that is shareable. I think has been super, super powerful for me. Of even just my friends, right? Like I have not kept shy about what I'm doing. Like people know what I'm doing. They know about Coach
Right.
Brian. They joke with me about Coach Brian. They like, I don't know.
But it's
I've
I hope that it's not
in a
in the
good way.
like yeah,
No,
it's like, oh my
no,
gosh, Rosie's
no,
on a diet and she has to like eat out of Tupperware containers or can't ever
no,
go to these restaurants or whatever,
no,
right?
no. Actually, not. I think that's what's surprising to my friends
Sure.
is like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Like the way
Right.
Coach Brian's like taught you to approach food and like intake of energy and how you're expelling it. And so people like they know I'm on my calls, right? So they're like, "How was your call with Coach Brian?" Um, and they've seen the benefits. So I haven't kept it a
Right.
secret. But what I think is been
I
helpful
mean, you would
actually.
have cats out of the bag at like almost 40
Yeah,
pounds. Like
that's
you
true.
would have like
People,
been like, are you okay? Like is something going on here? Like
yeah. But with that, just being like, even seeing my friends now, just ask questions about like nutrition or just different things I'm learning. Like, oh, this is transferable to any country I live in, right?
right.
Like growing different vegetables, maybe maybe different diets have different things that become a priority, but it's all knowledge. That what I like about the way you approach it is you're like, hey, I know this stuff and I'm giving it away to you. Yeah, sure, we pay you, great, but it's
The
honestly, it's like,
exchange of value. That's it. This
yeah,
is
it's
how
huge.
I, provide a living for my family, and
It's
I love what I
huge.
do.
Yeah, and I
So
think what it's been fun is like any topic I've ever brought up, you're like, oh, hey, here's a resource about it. Like you've been doing it a long time. And so
right,
that's been really helpful
right,
for me because I
right,
do love variety. And
right,
so, every week I'm like, what about popcorn? What about this power bar or whatever,
right,
And
right,
it's just been really helpful to know like, oh, anywhere I
right,
live, anywhere I go, we've done this
right,
literally hundreds of miles apart.
right.
You can do it anywhere and take it with you when you
Nope, not
Yep.
even about like just nutrition or like exercise stuff,
Mm-mm.
but like time management, stress management clearly go
Yeah.
into who you are and what makes you successful. Oftentimes, we found a slowdown in the process because you're not time managing, or
Yep.
stress sneaks up on you when, if you look back at, you're like, well, I did like 5 days in a row and this and that, and they're like, okay, like, yeah, obviously it's going to be a stressful and you just weren't paying attention and
Yeah.
stuff, where you could be in a bit more preemptive. So we've attacked this and problem solve troubleshooting so many different ways.
Yeah.
So this is awesome because it's, you see it in your energy, your body,
Mhm.
your friends, your social, and it's not only serves you right now, but the goal is to, it serves you the rest of your life wherever you end up going. And
Yeah.
if traveling abroad again is a passion and calls on your heart, then you'll be ready to go, and you're not going to be like, oh, I gonna gain weight because I don't know what to eat or how to eat or any of that stuff,
Yeah.
and get fallen into some of the old habits and behaviors that caught you up in the past. So,
Yeah.
we're wrapping up here. You're killing it, and I'm super excited and proud of your effort.
Mhm.
If someone were in a similar issue situation,
Mhm.
just even up more weight than they want to be, wondering if this is right for them, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. I would say start, right? Like I think well for a couple of things with that. Like start meaning, hey, don't say it's not going to work if you haven't tried it. Like and just start, like don't wait till the right moment. Of for example, I was saying I started right before the holidays. Okay, like cool. I could have done what I usually do and been like, well, is this just going to waste my money for
Jan
3 weeks?
1 is, it's like 2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like totally. And so, but I this time I didn't, right? And I was like, no, this is the time. I just need to do it. If I did have a big birthday coming up, right? I was turning 40 in May. It just happened. And I knew like if I get to that date and I'm not gonna have focused on my personal body, like I'm gonna be really sad. I don't even
Right,
care about the weight. Like it didn't matter. That the number didn't matter to me. I know some people will be really motivated by the numbers. So if that's you, go for it. Great. If you're not motivated by that yet, you really just want to feel better in your body, like just get started. Like quit waiting.
right.
It's worth it. It's worth your time,
Waiting.
it's worth your effort. And I do want to like tell you what's been really helpful is the positivity. The like, hey, we're gonna focus on the encouraging things that happened this week. Yeah, we're gonna
Right,
definitely name the things that didn't go well because that would be dumb not to do that. Like we do have to do
right,
that. But we're also then gonna just what the thing you said to me at the beginning, maybe second weekend, was hey, you're rebuilding trust with yourself, right? It's great that you're going to tell all your friends about it. You're not going to hide what you're doing because you do want support. But at the end of the day, you have to like build back up trust with yourself because you've tried before and you
right,
failed. And like
right,
you wonder, can you do it? So if that's you, like if that's someone else, that hit home so hard. Like you're right. It is about me. Like it's about building trust back up with myself. I have tried before and it's not gone well for the rest of time, or it didn't even go well when I started with whatever it was. So that really helped me. Like if I had a day where it didn't quite go according to the goal I had set, cool, wake up tomorrow and start again.
right.
And that's, I mean, that's what we've been doing. And it's been
Yep,
really great. And it hasn't been always like losing weight every week. That hasn't been my story either.
right,
That's fine.
right,
Get back on, keep
right.
going. So
Everyone's situations are different, and if you zoom out, the amount of times that you were not at home, you were away, you had to deal with not being able to prepare any of your food, like these
yeah,
were all things that really were, you navigated, you overcame, you planned, you thought ahead, and oftentimes those are huge tripping points to just stop and
yeah,
just not want to care or anything like that. So
yeah,
so big ups, big
yeah.
props. We still got a little bit more to kind of like
Okay.
melt away, but the progress you've done, the way we've done it with the navigating the ins and outs of your everyday life is just awesome. So I really appreciate you taking the time. And for anyone who watched this video, I appreciate you taking time to hear a bit more about Rosie's story and how she's busy. She didn't wait. She took action and she has a significant amount more trust in herself on how to operate, how to think, how to eat, how to be active, and start working, continually working toward the goals that she has in her life and not letting something hold her back, especially food, which we have to eat every single day to stay alive. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate everyone. If you are in a similar situation and this resonated with you, reach out at brianprana.com. You can message me on my socials at Coach Brian Piranha. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me. I'm pretty responsive. So thank you so much, Rosie. Thank
Yeah.
everyone for watching this, and off we go.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.